Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Tuesday, June 28th, 2022. Full MLB slate. We'll bring in Mr. Scott Webb, who's had a few days off, and we'll be in better spirits. His Tampa Bay Lightning put up a hell of a fight. Two-time defending champs and conference champs this year, but it's on to baseball now, and let's bring him in. From the Palm Tree State himself, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Afternoon, sir.
Hey, Jeff. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing. Just when you're getting all set, the phone rings, so I apologize for being a few minutes late, but we're here, and I was looking at the slate. We don't have that 6:40 first pitch, so we have a couple minutes just to discuss what's going on in MLB. If I had told you without looking, the last 13 days, according to Fangraphs, who is the number one pitching team in all of baseball, you would say?
I looked at the offense today. I looked at the individual starting pitchers. I didn't look at as a team starting pitchers, but I would say that I don't know. I don't have a guess right now.
How about the Baltimore Orioles?
Yeah, that's I was thinking it was a team like that. I was thinking about Pittsburgh, and I'm like, it can't be them. And then now that you say it, I heard someone say it, or I read it on Twitter or something. I don't know. That they were doing pretty well. It's funny how in these lanes you miss certain things, right? Like I look at pitchers. I don't look at team pitching. I look at team pitching on certain things, right? Like bullpens and stuff like that, because ultimately the majority of those guys are going to pitch in tonight. But I don't bet on a team's pitching. I bet on a pitcher. So I think it's good, though, that as a general rule, if a fan base can get supported and be happy about a team and how they're throwing or how things are doing, that's pretty good. But I think in our lanes, you have to be careful because, in our lanes, you can get sucked into a bunch of nonsense if you're just looking at team pitching. The Dodgers have great team pitching all the time, but they go out there, you got to cover big numbers, and when you don't, you lose your ass. So I don't know that that's always a good thing. I think for a fan base, it's an awesome thing, and especially for a team like Baltimore that hasn't had a lot to celebrate. Shit, what are they, 4 games under 500 now or something like that? So they're pretty close to having the American League East be all 500 or better.
35-40 right now. It was funny. I was talking on the show with Riley. We bet them on Tuesday and they lost, and then they win Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He stole one on Sunday from them, and then they come back and beat the crap out of Seattle and Kirby, who had been pitching pretty good yesterday. Now you got in that dilemma. We've talked about fading Robbie Ray all year, and they're giving you that big price like Seattle's going to bounce back there. My Red Sox 7-game winning streak snapped yesterday, and I feel bad for them because they were not in a position to do that well, I thought, in this series. Their best closer, Houck, 6 for 6 in closing opportunities, can't cross the border because he's unvaccinated. Their leadoff hitter, Durant, who was batting about 370, who's got about a half dozen stolen bases, was getting hot, could not cross the border. And it was said that they delayed the Sale comeback just for this reason, because he also is not vaccinated. So they bring out Seabold, who actually, I'll be honest with you, the first time through looked okay. He was spotting his pitches well. But, a pitcher that doesn't have enough pitches or enough experience to face the Toronto lineup 2 and 3 times. Springer gets up second time around, home run. Guerrero hit one that still, I don't think's landed. But, the Sox just weren't set up. And now you got a matchup today We're still waiting for Walker regression versus a Stripling kid who we both know has been pitching okay. But full board, it's 6:34. I'm gonna just flip it to you. We got some listeners. Go ahead, tell them your leans, what you like, what you played, and what your eyes are seeing.
All right. Well, I'll start with at the beginning, right? So 7 o'clock of these games. What is this one? This one is 9:51, 9:52. This is Atlanta, Philadelphia. You got Charlie Morton and Wheeler. I'm sorry. What did I say? Weaver. And then what you run into here is you got two pretty good pitchers, right? So, and they're not just pretty good. So in the last 30 days, which that's how I look at stuff, especially for starting pitchers. Charlie Morton's number one on the board, and I wouldn't have thought that, but he's number one on the board with the Sierra number 211, and Zach Wheeler's number 3 on the board with a 290. So that's not too bad for these two guys. So that means hits and guys on base are going to be at a premium. So that starts me to start looking at an under, and then when you start matching this up another way, so you run into the idea here that the offense for Philadelphia is number 29 in baseball right now, number 29. So I know they put up some runs here and there, and they do different things, and they score in bunches, and they go on streaks, and we've been talking about that all season. It's all about streaks. So right now they're not in the greatest of streaks in terms of smash and scoring offense. So they're 29th, and they're going to face a really good pitcher. So that tends to me to lean again under. And then when you look at Atlanta, they've kind of had their ups and downs, but the Dodgers sort of put a hold on their offensive prowess, and now they're going to get Wheeler. So Wheeler isn't going to be any easier for them. They're 17th in offense, so they got a better offense going on than Philadelphia does. But what I looked at here that I found pretty interesting, and what I liked was that Wheeler is progression ripe. So what that means is that he's off of a bad start. So he had a multiple bunch of games in a row where he did really good. So he got his game score up to 60 for the season. So he ran an 82, 67, 59, 62, 79, 67. And that's what these guys will do when they're really good like this. Those aces there is no throw a couple games and then go flat. These guys are good. And he's off a game score 41. That's his second worst start of the entire year. His worst start was way back April 17th, which was his second start. So I like the idea that Wheeler's going to pitch really good today. So here's my thought. My thought was if Wheeler pitches really good, and the other part of it too, if I can get to the right spot I want to get to on here, he's been really good against the Braves. So it's not like he hasn't seen them. They're in the same division. They play each other all the time. But he's got a game score 63 in his last 5 times against the Braves. He's given up 3 runs in those 5 games as the most in any one of those games. So let's just say he gives up two runs and he goes 7 innings. That's pretty good. And if Charlie Morton is on and doing halfway decent, maybe he gives up a run or 2, then you got a 4-4 score. So I'm looking at this game still as like a 3-2, something like that kind of game, 4-2 game, something like that. I played it under. So I like the idea that both these pitchers are going to be okay, even if Charlie Morton gives up 3-4 runs tonight. They'll take him out. Their bullpen will come in. I like their bullpen a little better, and I like Philadelphia's. But Philadelphia's got the 29th rated offense. So there's not a whole lot that I think they're going to do. So I like the idea that this game stays under. I think the number was 7.5. I paid -115. So that was my first play of the night. I don't know if you got the same kind of thoughts on that one, but that's how I like it.
It's funny. We had Wheeler last time, first 5. We had a Hoskins error that cost us 2 runs in the first. We got to a tie. We weren't going to get the win, and then Wheeler gave up another run in the 5th. I didn't think it was his greatest outing, and I know his success against Atlanta. Uh, I do know offensively, there's holes to be filled. They are not swinging the bats, and Morton has ground Chuck now come into rhythm. As you said, he's number one ranked. I like Philly's first five here. I think that I just slight edge that Wheeler's gonna, maybe you get a Hoskins homer or something like that. I see a low scoring game too,
Yep.
but I like the spot the Phillies are in. Just first five though.
Yep. Nope. I get it. You can't trust that Philly bullpen. So this one's going to surprise you a little bit, I think, Jeff. This is the next game. What's the rotation number? I didn't write them down today.
953, 954.
Well, this one's going to be 965, 966. How about that one?
Okay.
Same time frame. It's a 7:05 start. So this is Montas against Sears. Now, many people probably don't know who Sears is and whatever. But what if I told you he's pitched in 3 games this year, hasn't given up a run yet? That's pretty good. Now, his first 2 times that he appeared, he pitched 2 innings and 2 innings, or 2 innings and 1 inning, or something like that, 3 innings. He's pitched a total of 7 innings. He started 1 game. His game score in the game that he started was a 64. That's pretty good. It was against the Orioles. It was back in May. He's got 7 innings, 5 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts. That's pretty good. And, if the Phillies are 29th, and I told you there was one team worse in offense in all of baseball, and you had a team to guess it, you might think it would be Oakland, right? And they are the worst team in baseball in offense.
And then I think the Nationals are right there too.
So you got number 30 in offense. I'm taking, I like the idea here that you got a pitcher that has pitched some in the big leagues now. He's pitched 7 innings. It's a home game for him. I like the idea that Montas is going to be pitching against the Yankees. Now, having said that, Montas is pretty good, right? He's out there trying to show his wares so he can get traded. The issue is that what was his last start? Well, his last time out, he had a near no-hitter. He lost it in the 8th inning. He threw, where is he? There he is. Where's my pitch count? I don't see my pitch count on this one, but his game score was 87. He threw 8 innings, gave up 2 hits, had 2 walks, had 8 strikeouts, 0 runs, and they lost that game, if you remember right. That's when Puck came in and walked 2 guys and then threw 2 wild pitches and scored them both, and they lost the game. Great for the Oakland A's, I guess. So they're the worst offense. They're going against a kid they've never seen before. Sears is pretty decent. The Yankee bullpen's pretty good. And we know what the Yankee offense is like. Now, the Yankee offense hasn't been the Yankee offense as of late. They've been coming back and, putting up some runs to make these games win. But you're not going to get that from the Yankees. They don't go out and get 15 hits and 30 runs. They go out and get, 7 hits and 9 runs because they get a couple of walks and then boop, home run, and then all of a sudden the game's out of reach. So I'm gonna play this game too because Montas, his xWOBA number is 409 today against the Yankees, and that's not very good. Anytime you can be at a 3, say a 3.3, that's pretty average. And he's over 4, and if you add in his expected slugging percentage, it's in the 5. So you add those together, and you're talking a huge number for OPS. So I like the idea that the Yankees are going to do okay against Montas. Montas is regression ripe today. So when he's pitched, he pitched a game score 77 and then a 30, a 77 and then a 43. And he pitched a 77 and a 60. So he's only backed up his good scores once. And this is an 87 that he's off of. So I tend to think that this is going to be a bad spot for Oakland and a good spot for the Yankees. Give me the run line. And the run line is minus 105 today. So I think it's like that's like a pick 'em for me. So take the best team in baseball right now against one of the worst teams in baseball, if not the worst team in baseball, and get it at a run line at 105. I'm on it, and especially at home. So I like that. And I don't fear the Oakland bullpen in any way, shape, or form, or any one hitter that they got. None of that stuff. So I feel pretty good about that one. That Pittsburgh Washington game, I can't support Corbin. If anything, I like Quintana's year that he's had, but I'm not going to get involved in that one. I do like the next one. That I've got that as Boston and Toronto. And I get it that, Boston's got a couple players that they didn't travel up with, and they're pitchers, and that's not good. But Bogarts is still there, and Bogarts is like, I don't know. He's like Babe Ruth against Stripling. Stripling has a hard time with him. Stripling has had a hard time against the Boston Red Sox. In fact, here, let me pull up these numbers for a second. So he's pitched the last 5 times against the Red Sox. He's pitched 19 innings. He's given up 28 hits and 20 runs, a 9.47 earned run average, and a game score 38. That's not very good. So I like the idea that I'm thinking that, Waka on the other side is an average pitcher, right? And he's been pitching above average all season. So in theory, you go out there and you go, I've got a better pitching matchup for Boston. Secondly, if you take that away and say, okay, well, what's Stripling done for the season? Well, his game score is like a 55 and Walker's is like a 54. So, okay, let's say they're average at best as a wipeout on the pitching mound. So if the pitchers are average out and wiped out, obviously you got to go the next step, right? You go to the offense. Well, the number one offense in baseball right now, Jeff, is Boston. So give me the Red Sox, right? Because they're the number one offense. And now they're going to have an opportunity to hit against an appalling number from Stripling. I'll take that. And I can get it at a pretty good number. I can get it at a plus number. It's 124. So I think that merits a little bit of sense on my side. And I get what you said about the guys not being there, and Hawks is important. But I also tend to think that the other part of this, in the last 10 games, the Toronto Blue Jays are 4-6. In the last 20 games, they're 10-10. So if you look at them in the last 30 games, they're 18-12. So what that means is their hot streak was 2 weeks ago. So they're not that hot. And if you look at what the Red Sox are doing, they're 8-2 in the last 10, 15-5 in the last 20. Their hot streak is right now. So again, going back to that same thing we've been talking about all season, play on hot streaks, play against cold streaks, right? We talked about being against Oakland because they're cold. We're going to play on Boston tonight because they're hot. So I'm going to take them plus the 124. And then I did play the next game too.
Just going to DraftKings right now. Raffy Devers plus 320 on a homer. And you talked about Bogarts plus 500 on a homer tonight. 2 ones to look at.
Bogarts loves to bat again. He's like, I don't know, batting 600 against him with I think he's like been up 20 times, got 12 hits or something like that against him. So Bogarts is in a good spot. The next game on my list is I think it's also a 7:00 start. And that is 979 and 980. That's Valdez and Carrasco. And here's what I'll tell you. The first thing, Valdez game score for the season is a 60. Okay, well that makes him one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's an ace. That's what he is. He's an ace. And he's backed up his numbers. It doesn't matter. If he'll get 59, 58, 59, 60, 62, 65. He doesn't have that dud in there. What I liked about this that I didn't like about another game, I'll tell you. is that Valdez is going to be facing Carrasco, who I think has hit his wall. So if you look at Carrasco's numbers over the last several starts, I got to go back here and find him again. Dun, 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 dun. Carrasco is right here in his game log. So Carrasco, um, his last start was against Houston, so they just played each other. He had a game score 10. He pitched 2.1 innings, gave up 4 hits, 5 runs, 3 home runs. The game before that, it was against Miami, game score 49. The game before that, it was against the Angels, game score 27. So he's got a 10, 49, 27 in his last 3 starts. His game score for the season's a 52. So I tend to think that at this point, he has hit sort of that I'm an older veteran type pitcher. I don't know, I've kind of hit the wall here a little bit. And I'm going to ride against that streak, right? So he's pitching against Houston. Houston's the number 5 offense in baseball. So it's not like he has an easy streak tonight. And Valdez on the other side, his game log, he looks like this. He last pitched against the Yankees. And I thought, okay, well, I remember that game and everybody talking about how great it was. Well, it was a game score 57. For the season, he's a game score 60. So that wasn't even one of his better efforts. So it's 57, 51, 55, 55, 87, 56, 60. He just doesn't tank games. His first 3 starts, 2 of them weren't the best. But after that, everything's been really good for him. And he didn't face the Mets. So he doesn't have that, I just faced the Mets last week. That's the last time they saw me. And I have to do something different, to get him out. So he's going to be able to do what he normally does. And what I did like about where the Mets stand tonight is their offense is been struggling here. They are number 25 in baseball on offense. So you got the number 5 offense. You got an ace on the mound against a guy who I don't want to call him washed because that's not true. He's pitched pretty well. And there's a lot of teams that would like to have Carrasco on their team, but I think he's in a bad matchup. And I think Houston. I think the money flip is correct because it opened at what -115 or something like that for the Mets.
I'm calling lie on Wager Talk there because I was writing an article for someone last night. The actual opening number in spots was Houston was favored, so which kind of surprised me to have Houston favored at the Mets because we're on Valdez as well because that was an eye opener to me. That was a statement in my eyes.
Yeah, I like them tonight. So I'm giving you 4 plays. I like Atlanta, Philadelphia under 7.5. I like the Yankees on the run line minus the 105. And I like Boston, Walker plus 124, Valdez, Houston minus 116. Now, talking about some of the other games, I had interest in Milwaukee, Tampa Bay. Woodruff is pitching tonight for Milwaukee. It's his first start back off the disabled list, and you know how I like to bet against those guys. What I didn't like is that Milwaukee's actually hitting. So with Milwaukee being, I think they're 4th in offense right now. Number 4. They're behind the Dodgers. So what I didn't want to do was I didn't want to go and say you bet against Milwaukee when they're normally back down where they normally are in the 20-25 range. But when they're batting 4th, okay, they're a little bit hot right now. So I don't want to do that. And Baz has now this will be his 4th start off of his disabled list. And it'll be he's only in the first 3, he's only made it over 5 innings once. So I'm not sure kind of where he's at in his recovery. So I'm going to stay off of that one. But I did like Tampa Bay there. I just don't want to go there. That Winder and Pilkington, the second game of the doubleheader. To be honest with you, I think that's probably a pick 'em, and the line's kind of a pick 'em. They're going back and forth. I'm just going to stay away from that one altogether. Garrett and Hudson's kind of an interesting game. Garrett pitched pretty well the last time out. He's a left-hander that did pretty well. Hudson's been unbelievably good for St. Louis. I just don't like the number. That's a pretty big number, and I don't want to get there because I think Hudson can blow up at any time. He's not a big strikeout guy, so he's a contact guy, which means balls are going to be in play. And if Miami wakes up and has a little bit of offense, then there you go. The next one was interesting to me because it's Cincinnati, Chicago. It's Castillo, and I think of Castillo as I don't want to call him an elite pitcher because I don't think of him as that. I think of him as a good pitcher. I don't think as Thompson as a good pitcher yet. He doesn't have enough starts. So it was really surprising for me to see Thompson as a favorite in this game. So when I saw it, I was like, well, there's a reason for that. And then when I started looking at it a little bit, I just can't get involved in that because I don't think there's a reason why Castillo shouldn't be the favorite. But when I went back and looked, Chicago's hitting a little bit better than what Cincinnati is. Obviously, Cincinnati hasn't won many games. I think they've won 25 games or something. So they've got to get to a point where, Castillo.
They've won 3 less than the Cubs.
Well, there you go. So see, so it's one of those spots where I just like, okay, it's a coin toss, so I'm not going to go there. But I think your value is with Castillo. He's the better pitcher. And then that Texas and Kansas City game, anytime you can bet against Teasley, do it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But this line is way out of control for me, so I'm not going there. I think it's like minus 180 or something for John Gray on the road. So I'm not going to do that, but you're going to have to flip it into a run line and do it. But Heasley's not very good. He's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. Kershaw and Freeland. I don't know what's going on with the Dodgers. They got beat last night by the Colorado, so I just decided I wasn't going to go here. Looking at numbers for the season, and how they match up to each other. Kershaw and Freeland, I don't want to call him like Kershaw and Bumgarner back when he pitched for the Giants, but these guys match up a lot. And you'd be surprised at how Freeland's numbers mirror Kershaw's. So against the Dodgers. So I think they're competitive tonight, but you're certainly not going to bet on them. And you're not going to pay $200 on the Dodgers. So I'm leaving that one alone. This next one is the one that I almost played. I wanted to play the White Sox tonight because I think you're getting value in Cueto against Silseth. Looking at the numbers for the pitchers today, Silseth has a Sierra number of 6.07. Okay, get me on board. I'm playing against Silseth. Now he's a 607. That's the worst one on the board. He is number 30 out of number 30. And then when I started looking at it, I'm going, well, Jesus Christ, the White Sox aren't hitting. So I'm like, how do they take advantage of it if he's not hitting? So I'm just going to stay away. I think you have good value in Cueto. I just don't want to go there. Minaya and Gallen, something wrong here for me with Minaya. Every time I bet on him, he loses, and every time I bet against him, he wins. So, and when I see his name, I go, okay, I'm just going to avoid that game. That's just one thing for me. Rodon and Skubal, it's just too much. Skubal hasn't been pitching very well. And then Kramer and Ray, you talked about that at the Open. Ray's been pitching pretty good here as of late. But at the same time, you could anytime you get these teams riding hot, you want to take them. The problem that I had with this one is Baltimore's running pretty good, but Seattle right now is the number 3 offense in baseball. So that means they can probably hit. So I thought I needed to stay away from that one. So that 4 is enough.
Well, it's funny because you said some good stuff about a couple of the plays that we're on and a couple bad stuff. And again, just what we do reading the market. I'll go from the top. We talked about the Phillies' first 5. I was going to get contrarian here until I realized Pittsburgh and Washington were both at the bottom of offenses. Both are at 4.5 juiced under. My thoughts about Corbin. I just thought Pittsburgh could be sneaky here and get to that 5 number, but I stayed away. The under over is at 8.5. So I guess first one, the 5 wins. 5-3 today, but I think it's going to be Pittsburgh. But every time I try to get cute with Pittsburgh, they get a bagel. So stayed away from that. Um, you have to respect what St. Louis did yesterday. They put up a 9 spot against one of the better pitchers in the game. Uh, I Garrett's okay, and you didn't add your St. Louis versus lefties line there either. I think they're enticing you to take St. Louis today. Maybe Miami bounces back, but again, I mean, first 5 minus the hook, maybe a full game run line, but stayed away from there. You nailed what I thought. How in the hell is Castillo not favored here? I was shocked when I saw that. Thompson, I think, coming off a stellar start because we had him 2 weeks ago against the Yankees. He gave up 8 in an inning in the third, and then he was lights out. So I think they think he's going to be lights out again. Dodgers, back-to-back shutouts on the show last night in the closing bell with Riley. I talked about fading teams that play the late game on Sunday night on ESPN and then travel. And the Dodgers got shut out on Sunday night, and they got shut out again last night. But again, staying away from that. You know, I dove into the bee's nest, and I thought of you here, Scotty. You're going to give me San Diego, who's in the top 5 in offense, with Manaea. I was on that Gallon train, and then he stung us a couple times good. We're diving back in full game with the Padres tonight. I like the number. I like the spot. I'm just gun shy, a little nervous now that, Gallon will spin that good one. And then, Arizona will wake up there. We talked about Montas and Sears. We stayed away. I have bad vibes with the Sox. I hope they bounce back. It's 42-32 for the Sox, 41-32. So Toronto wins today, and they flip-flop in the standings. Got cute yesterday with Sticks. I don't know if you watched the game. I'm following the game, and hit by pitch double, and then he just hands a fastball eye level to Sanchez. The ball hasn't landed yet. It's 3-0. And then the next inning, wild pitch. But Tito left him out there. And so we got bageled. That was our only play with Cleveland yesterday. I agree with you with Texas.
He reminds me a lot of Barrios, right? He'll pitch really good, but it's not a consistent really good. So you just got to be careful with him because he's a really good pitcher, but it's only in spurts and at times because holy shit, he can't back it up and he can't be consistent enough to be reliable.
And I thought it was a perfect spot for the Guardians. The fact that they got swept by the Red Sox, and here come the Twins, and they laid an egg. They'll probably end up winning the doubleheader here now. So, White Sox and Angels. You know what really struck me, and the negative numbers that you said. Then you looked a little deeper. Do you actually know the overnight number was Angels minus 151, which is another statement to me, an eye opener. Maybe you get the bad Cueto. Maybe the Angels offense opens up. Maybe this Silseth gets them, 4, 5, or 6. We played them first 5 today. Again, an opening overnight number of 151 to me was just an eye opener. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's exactly what I think. Are you kidding me? Aren't they still under 500 for God's sakes?
36-40 versus 34-38.
There you go.
So, and Kramer versus Ray again. Shame on me for not riding Baltimore yesterday. Kirby scared me. The only way I could play this game would be Baltimore. But as you said, Ray's been pitching great. If you wanted to get in on the Ray train, you'd have to do it minus the hook first 5 or full game run line. Baltimore 35-40, and the one word we both use is pesky. I take my hat off. This team they got some kids that just want to play ball, and they can field with the best of them. We had Riley on yesterday for the closing bell, and they almost got swept by them at home. And he says, Jeff, I've never seen a team field like this. They were just mopping everything up, he said, but they were lucky to steal one. But I think it's, unfortunately, it's a team in the worst division it ever could be in.
Yeah, it's hard. I felt that way down here a lot with the Rays when they first were established, getting put into that division and so forth. But that you evolve and find a way, right? I mean, that's the way everything is when you're trying to do the right thing and you do things the way you're supposed to. They just got behind the eight ball with some contracts there, and then the owner made a stupid decision on Chris Davis, and all of a sudden now they ain't got no money, and Chris Davis bats negative. I don't know. I don't think that's possible. But anyway, he might not even have batted 100. And they were paying him $35 million a year. So what are you going to do? So they kept throwing him out there, and then year after year, then they didn't get much for their guys either. I mean, Machado and those guys, they have those guys. They had those guys. They had Manny Machado. What did they get for him? I don't think they got anything for him. So because he signed it as a free agent, so they missed all the opportunities in the world to get this rebuild quicker, faster, better, and they didn't do it. So, what do they got now? I mean, they don't really have much trade pieces. They're just working and working.
They get some good young pieces. They got Roshman up. Unfortunately, the Grayson Rodriguez injury where he was ready to come up, and
I wanted to see it.
by them delaying it a week or 10 days cost them potentially the rest of the season there. And my buddy was talking about it today. They didn't put him on the 60-day DL yet. So they were waiting to see. I don't know. As he said, maybe they didn't have another injury that they had to move him to that. So maybe they're holding out hope for late August or something. I don't know. But we talked about that. Again, I was surprised that Baz was favored over Woodruff. I was surprised with that open number. I'm a big Baz fan. You turned me on to him last year. His fourth start, Tampa's just not hitting, and in comes a Milwaukee team that if you let them hang around, their bats are waking up, and they own the back end with Williams and Hader. So if you're behind going in the 7, 8, 9, good luck because you ain't going to win that game 9 out of 10 times. So I've stayed away, but I was surprised at that. And then again, the Houston number was an absolute eye opener to me, having them favored at the Mets. I loved the spot. I thought, honestly, probably the best play of the day in my eyes. Even though the Mets are tough, I get it, but I just liked the spot there. So, closing thoughts, Scott.
Well, closing thoughts are is a reminder that baseball is 162 games long, and the good teams lose games, and they do in streaks. They just don't do it as long. So a good team is going to lose, 3 or 4 games, and then go back to winning again. A bad team is going to lose, 5 games, 6 games, 7 games, and they're going to do it quite often. But they're going to go on a win streak. It's just not going to be very long. They're going to win, 3, 4, 5 in a row. And they might do that twice in a season. So riding the streaks on teams is really a good thing. However, don't forget to ride the streaks of starting pitchers because they have streaks too. They go on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games where they just are, oh my God, you just ride them. One way or the other, whether they're doing really good or whether they're doing really bad. And especially and look for key spots. If guys got really roughed up the last time out, and it's Major League Baseball, man, they don't get roughed up 2 times in a row very often, like hardly ever. You're going to know that if they get roughed up the last time out, you got a pretty good shot that pitcher is going to pitch good. Now, that doesn't mean to bet on and support that pitcher unless you got good numbers and a good line and your betting numbers are good. But you can also look at totals. So if the pitcher is going to pitch good, you can expect the other offense not to do as good. So if you wanted to bet a total or a team total or something like that, you got other ways to skin a cat. But don't forget that, baseball is a long season. It's not like some of these other ones. And there's nothing wrong with the other ones. But it's a longer season. So you have longer streaks and shorter streaks based on the quality of the pitchers and quality of the teams.
For me, we had Ron on from Ace Sports today. Thank you, Mr. Lucky. It was a pleasure to talk to someone it was like talking in the mirror. We got on backstage for 15 minutes. We introduced to each other, and Ron's been in the lanes forever, like myself, and talking about trust in the process. It was like talking to you. He does the numbers. He creates his own power rankings. He does all that stuff, and he's doing some podcasts and breaking down the divisions with Chris Vegas. Las Vegas Chris. I always screw that one up. Again, another legend in the contest world and in our lanes. And I know football's coming, guys. And myself, Scott, and everyone else is doing their due diligence. They're doing their work. I did get one of the magazines. I think it was Athlon last week. I saw Phil Steele on Twitter today, and he said finally his book reached somewhere in some state and city. And I was like, well, I'll be getting mine. I'll double back and look next Friday. But we have a lot of opportunities here, and baseball is, the old days. You failed 7 out of 10 times, and you went to the Hall of Fame, and you put the ball in play and you make them field it, and that's the way I feel in baseball. Where I try to get too cute and too coy sometimes. I try to. The spaghetti strainer, and even Ron talked about the spaghetti strainer, and try to get in on some team totals, try to get creative. We can't get a big favorite in, so what do? We try to do a run line, and then we come up short. So it's work in progress, and if you guys get frustrated, cut your unit size in half, cut it into a quarter. If you the bad beats come in any sport, but I Scotty, am I wrong to say they feel worse in baseball? They really do.
Well, the reason they feel worse, I think, in baseball is because you see how it happened. I don't. If I lose a bet because you put the closer on the mound and he's throwing heat and whatever, you get on base and it was legitimate as a base hit. You moved him over to second base and got an out. And the next guy comes up and hits a home run, and it's 2 runs you score, and you were behind by 1. That's just baseball, because that's good on good. What we tend to see is they bring in a closer and he can't find a plate. He walks this guy, he walks that guy, and then the next is hit down the ground, and the guy picks it up and throws it into the seats or something. And then the next pitch is a wild pitch, and the next one's a wild pitch, and then Oakland loses. So that's what's bad about baseball, because you sit here and go, how in the hell does that happen with multimillionaires on the mound throwing the ball as hard as they can, 100 miles an hour, and they can take a dime off the top of your hat if they really wanted to, and yet they can't throw a strike. So they hurt worse because you don't feel like you got beat. You feel like the system cheated, is what you feel like.
And you just feel like, you're spinning your wheels. We get the lines, a couple hours ago for tomorrow. I'm already working on tomorrow's. We do a show, and then, we're sitting here talking, we're closing up shop, and 1 out, Darno hits a homer. And then in comes Olsen. He hits a homer. It's already 2-0 Braves. So what do I get? The bad Zach Wheeler again, and it's only for a half unit. It's first 5, but it's the mindset. It was like, Jesus Christ, I just worked last night, all morning, all afternoon, and this is what we came up with. And you just kick us not in the nuts once, but twice with 2 solo homers.
Well, I mean, it's not the KBO, right? So, when Major League Baseball wasn't available and you started betting on the KBO, and I got into it, and I started to know who the players were, and I understood how good they were and how bad they were. You don't see many KBO guys being able to play in the major leagues because they can't. And then you see guys that go over there like Dan Straley, and he strikes out 10 and goes complete games and wins 15 games. And Dan Straley can't win 3 games in Major League Baseball. So there's a difference. The quality of play is different. The range, the arm strength, the power that these guys play with in the Major League Baseball is different. So for everyone who out there thinks old school baseball is better, go watch the KBO. Go watch a couple games. You'll enjoy it because the fans are really into it and they're really fun. But they're a bunch of slap and Judy hitters. They don't strike out much because they just put the ball in play because they just slap at it, and sure, you can see them swing, but it's still a slappy swing, especially compared to a Major League Baseball hitter. And a Major League Baseball hitter drives through the baseball and swings hard. And Major League Baseball pitchers are the best in the world. They throw the ball where they want, the most movement on the ball that you can get, and that's the velocity on the pitches. And I talk about velocity a lot, but what you got to think about is the breaking stuff is at a higher velocity than the lower leagues too. So the differential is that the ball moves quicker, faster, better for a major league pitcher than it does any other pitcher. So it is much more difficult. You're going to get strikeouts. You're going to have different things in Major League Baseball. It's a little different than what you're going to find in some of the other leagues. But what I do like is what the Cleveland Guardians are doing. They don't strike out much. They put the ball in play and they play good defense. And when you do that, you can win your division, and they're battling for it. So I don't think they got enough they need a bat. I would love to see the trade deadline a little closer, just to get these guys making moves right now. What Kansas City made a move yesterday, but whatever. I mean, Kansas City and Santana, nobody wants him. Well, I guess Seattle does.
Tomorrow, Andrew McGinnis was moved till 2:00. We'll cross the border then. We'll be talking some CFL there. We'll close up the hockey talk there. We'll be doing some World Juniors in August with Andrew then. And I haven't confirmed, I haven't decided, but we have an opportunity to get Dubs Anderson on at 3:00. Talk some PGA John Deere versus the Live tournament, which seems a lot stronger than the John Deere does this week. And we'll talk about last week's tournament, Xander's win, Cantlay's failure, and whatever else is going on in the world of golf. And then myself and Riley will be here at 4:30 for the closing bell. So I could have 3 straight shows tomorrow. So tune in then. So anyways, enjoy the games today. There's a lot of action going on. Currently now at the bottom of the first, Atlanta 2 and Phillies coming to bat. We'll see what Morton's got for the Phillies. Hopefully we can get I'll take the 3-2 first 5, unless you got the under 4.5, right?
I got under 7.5 the whole game.
You got 4 game. Okay. So you're still in play. You're all right. So, all right. So Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. We wish everyone a blessed evening. We want you guys to have some fun, cash some tickets, behave yourself, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.